find affordable housing, and it was just too difficult trying to put the pieces back together.
All my furniture, all my children's furniture, all their toys, all our clothes. We lost everything.
But Shelby Schmidt gathered valuable knowledge should they encounter another hurricane.
We're stocking up on canned goods. We have our flashlights in order. We have our batteries together. We have our water containers ready. We have everything in one place. We have a briefcase for all our important papers.
Shelby keeps all of her canned goods together. The ones she's saving for the storm are marked with an S. That way, if they get used, she knows to replace them. Her hurricane survival kit has about 2 weeks worth of canned goods.
That's how long we'll be without electricity. So I figure 2 weeks. If it's more than that, hopefully by then something will be open.
The Schmidts have camping gear stored in their garage. They've got soda bottles to fill with water, and all of their medications are kept in one spot. Jean has plywood to board up the windows, and this time they're going to do it right.
The wood needs to be inside the frame and not outside the frame of the window, because the wind just comes right up and snaps it right off.
Another option the Schmidts might want to consider is corrugated aluminum shutters. They cost about $45 a window, but are easier to install than ones made of plywood. Unfortunately, it took losing everything in Hurricane Andrew for Jean and Shelby to recognize the importance of having insurance.
We didn't think we'd need it. We didn't think anything like that would happen, and it kind of didn't fit in the budget. And then when it did, we'd say, no, we don't need it. Nothing like that's going to happen. But it only costs like $100 a year just to have a little bit of insurance. That's all we needed. We never did it.
The Schmidts are doing many things differently since Andrew's storm through their lives last year, even down to keeping the gas tank in the car full.
It's always gassed up. You always have to be prepared. Even if you were out somewhere in the city, what if you run out of gas? It's always gassed up. Always have so much money with you, because ATMs are not going to work after a hurricane.
A lot of things aren't going to work after a hurricane, but by taking a few simple precautions, you can save yourself a lot of heartache. Sandra Parker, 13 News, Hampton.
But even if you take the precautions, board up windows and batten down the hatches, winds of 110 miles an hour can still cause damage. And hurricanes can bring lots of water well inland, making flooding a big problem. Insurance is the key when you have to pick up the pieces after a storm. Many Homestead residents found that even though they had insurance, some of the damage wasn't covered. They may have thought they had the proper insurance, but then learned too late that they didn't. How can you be sure you have adequate coverage? Sandra Parker talked with an insurance agent to get some answers.
After everything that happened after Hurricane Andrew, a lot of people are questioning how much insurance they have and whether it covers everything it needs to cover. To answer some of those questions is George Duvall, who is an independent insurance agent. He joins us now. George, is there such a thing as hurricane insurance?
Sandra, basically to cover a homeowner's property, there are two insurance policies that the individual consumer needs. Homeowners insurance is the primary one, which most have, which covers the windstorm-related damages to the structure. Flood insurance is a separate policy needed to cover the water damage into the house caused by the inundation of surface water or tidal water. So you actually need two different policies. In North Carolina, along the coastal areas, often windstorm is excluded from certain types of policies, and a special windstorm policy is needed through the windstorm pool there in North Carolina. So that's a special concern for those folks.
So folks need to examine their policy carefully.
Absolutely.
I guess that goes true with any policy.
Sure.
Now, who needs flood insurance? I know that it's separate, as you mentioned, from your homeowner's policy. Who needs to get flood insurance?
Well, especially the people that are in flood-prone zones, what we call A or V zones in Virginia Beach, for instance. Those people, it's likely that if there's going to be a flood, they're going to be flooded. They first of all should be concerned with flood insurance. But our insurance companies found from Hurricane Hugo, for instance, that just because you're not in an A or a V zone, let's say you're in a zone B or a zone C, which are the zones that are less likely to be flooded, it doesn't mean you're not going to be flooded. One of my companies had more flood claims from zones B and C than they did from the high flood-prone zones. So I think everybody ought to look at it.
Now, what is the average cost of flood insurance or homeowners insurance?
Well,
like
the homeowner's policy on an average home may run $200 to $250 a year, covering fire, theft, windstorm, all of those exposures that we're used to. Flood insurance on that same home, if you insure it properly, could run, let's say, $250 to $300 per year in addition to what they're paying for their homeowners.
Okay, well, it sounds like a little extra money,
Yes,
but I
it
guess
is.
a lot of folks in Florida, especially the ones I talk to, wish that they had gotten it.
That's right.
That's true. And folks in Hampton Roads, the flood insurance will be the key here.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, George, well, thank you. Hopefully folks will go home and examine their policies to
Right.
find out if they need it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
These hurricane tracking charts can let you know if you live in a flood zone and if you need to buy flood insurance. There are 3 separate copies, one for Southside residents, one for the Peninsula, and one for Northeast North Carolina. Each one has a tracking map to help you chart the storms as they move across the Atlantic and toward the East Coast. And each edition has a flood map of your area to let you know the likelihood of whether your home would be flooded were a hurricane to hit Hampton Roads. The color codes denote the chances of your property sustaining flood damage in the different categories of hurricanes. Once you locate your home on the map, if it's in a blue area, well, then you probably need flood insurance. Your home will be flooded even in a minor Category 1 or a Category 2 storm. Green represents flooding in a stronger Category 3 storm. And purple areas will sustain flooding only in a Category 4 hurricane. That would be a storm the force of Andrew. You can pick up these hurricane tracking charts at either Builders Squares or at rallies. You can also find out more information about your home's likelihood of damage or flooding from your city's emergency management office. I hope you found this program helpful. If you learned nothing else, I hope you learn not to wait until a hurricane is actually forecasted before you prepare for one. The more advanced planning you do, you see, the better off you're going to be. So thanks for watching, and remember, I'll keep you informed about any upcoming hurricanes headed our way. Good night.